When you think of Italy, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it the buzzing chaos of the Colosseum, or maybe the shoulder-to-shoulder crowds in Venice? But what if I told you there's a different Italy? One that's been quietly waiting for centuries, just for us to rediscover it. Today, we're going to explore a journey that goes way beyond the usual postcard views, deep into the country's soul, on a trail that's been brought back to life for our modern times.
You know, this is the big problem so many of us face when we travel these days: over-tourism. The very places we dream of seeing are literally being loved to death. But what if the answer isn't some brand new destination, but an ancient one? A group of nuns have actually pieced together these old trails that wind through forgotten landscapes, offering a path not just through the countryside, but back through layers and layers of history.
So what does that actually mean for someone traveling there? Well, it's a total game changer. You're trading the roar of the city for the whisper of the wind in these ancient olive groves. You're swapping a checklist of sites for the chance to actually discover something new. It's the difference between a vacation that leaves you needing another vacation and a journey that might just change how you see everything.
Okay, so let's dig into this idea a little more. How can a simple walking path be an answer to a huge problem like over-tourism? Well, it's about more than just finding a less crowded spot. It's really about creating a whole different kind of tourism, one that's sustainable, meaningful, and, deeply connected to the land. It's called the Camino della Santissima Trinità, and you should think of it less like one single path and more like a whole network of 4 ancient trails. Altogether, they stretch about 18 kilometers through these stunningly beautiful regions called Lazio and Abruzzo. Seriously, some of Italy's best-kept secrets.
And if you're thinking, oh, that's just for a handful of hardcore hikers, think again. In just the 3 years since it was officially launched, more than 10,000 people have made this journey. I mean, that is a huge number, and it tells you something really important. People are absolutely craving this kind of real, unfiltered experience.
So how does something like this even happen, right? Who has the vision to look at a bunch of forgotten paths and see a modern pilgrimage? Well, it turns out it all started with a nun on a mission. And what's really amazing is how new this all is. Just look at this timeline. These trails have been here for centuries, just waiting. But it was only in September 2022, right in that post-pandemic moment when we were all rethinking how we travel and live, that Sister Catherine Adams and her fellow nuns took on the job of mapping and connecting them. This wasn't some accident. It was a deliberate choice to create a meaningful alternative to the chaos of modern tourism.
And this quote from Sister Adams just gets right to the heart of it. She's pointing out that when visitors get to Rome, they're so blown away by the ancient ruins and huge squares that they totally miss what's just outside the city, this hidden world where sacred history meets some genuinely challenging hiking.
And believe me, when she says challenging, she means it. This is not a walk in the park. You can just forget about your GPS apps. The trails are only partially marked. You actually have to use your own instincts, read the land, maybe even ask a local for directions. The steep gorges literally force you to slow down, to pay attention. And something kind of magical happens when you do that. You start to connect not just with the scenery, but with the people walking right there with you.
But this journey is about so much more than just the physical challenge. To really get it, to feel its power, you have to understand the very ground you're walking on. This isn't just pretty countryside. This is the cradle of Western monasticism.
The whole pilgrimage kicks off in a town called Subiaco. Today, you might see people river rafting there, but underneath that modern fun is a place with immense historical weight. We're talking about the 6th century, when a guy named Benedict of Nursia came to these hills and founded the very first monastic communities that would go on to shape all of Europe. And this whole region is just infused with this one powerful idea: ora et labora. It's Latin, and it means pray and work. This was the core belief of the Benedictine order, that a meaningful life needed a balance between spiritual devotion and practical, hands-on work. And it's not just some old idea. You can literally feel it in the terraced hillsides, the ancient stone walls, and the monastery workshop.
And you've got to understand, this wasn't just about chanting in a chapel. These monasteries were like the lighthouses of the Dark Ages. They were the ones preserving ancient knowledge, developing new farming techniques, pioneering medicine, creating incredible art. And hey, it wasn't just for men. St. Benedict's own sister, Scholastica, founded monastic life for women right here.
Okay, so we've talked about the why and the where, but what does it actually feel like to walk this path? Let's trace the steps of a pilgrim and see where this incredible journey takes us.
So the whole pilgrimage unfolds in 4 different stages, and each one has its own unique vibe. It starts with the Camino della Santissima, a 7-kilometer walk out of Subiaco.
Then there's a shorter but steeper path up to the breathtaking Subiaco Monastery. From there, you join the actual pilgrim's path for 5 kilometers to the main sanctuary, before a final, more contemplative 4-kilometer walk to a humble little chapel.
And one of the absolute highlights has got to be this Subiaco Monastery. I mean, it is literally clinging to the side of a limestone cliff. As Friar Maurizio says, spirituality is just everywhere here. You can feel it in the worn stones of the mule tracks and smell it in the herbs from the apothecary. It's that whole ora et labora idea made real.
And this is that labora part we were talking about, the work in action. For centuries, the monks here have been tending gardens and using local plants to create these incredible herbal products. And you can still buy them. We're talking handmade lavender soaps, peppermint sweets, and even a famous digestive called Amaro Benedictino, which they make from wild fennel that grows right on the hillside.
From Subiaco, the path winds through this quiet little village called Valle Pietra, and then you see it, the main event, the Santissima Trinità Sanctuary. It's carved high into a cliff face, and it's been a sacred place since the 5th century. I mean, that's before the fall of the Roman Empire. We are talking deep time here.
So, after all the history, the dramatic landscapes, and the physical challenge, the final leg of the journey offers something totally different. It's all about stripping everything back and returning to what's essential, to this profound sense of simplicity.
The final trail leads you to the village of Cappadocia, and after all those magnificent monasteries, the journey doesn't end at some grand cathedral. Nope, it ends right here at a simple, modest white chapel on a grassy hill. And that's the whole point. It's this beautiful reminder that the sacred isn't just found in monumental buildings, it's woven into the quiet moments of ordinary life.
Because ultimately, the real power of this pilgrimage is found in these simple, perfect little moments. The sound of someone singing a folk song up ahead on the trail, the incredible taste of fresh fettuccine with lamb ragu after a long day's walk, the pure joy of picking a wild strawberry right off the bush. That is what it's all about.
So it kind of leaves you with this thought, doesn't it? In this crazy, hyper-connected world that pushes us to plan and track and optimize every single moment, what if the most meaningful journey you can take is the one where there's no app to guide you? The one where all you have to do is trust your feet and just walk.